Good morning. Welcome back, teachers and boys, and especially to those who are with us for the first time today. First of all, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to the leaders, chairmen, captains, and prefects who have served the school with such devotion and diligence throughout the past year. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and may our Lord Jesus Christ be with you to give you wisdom and strength for the journey and challenges ahead. We return this school year after a remarkably momentous period for Hong Kong. After all that has happened within the past year, remains an open question whether our different opinions will lead us to a discourse of constructive ideas or a downward spiral of further polarization of the community. As we celebrate a year filled with success for the school, sprinkled with heartwarming stories of spirit and brotherhood, today, this year, I want us to focus on the bigger picture. I want us to focus on the greater role we serve beyond the scene of inter-school competitions, of rankings and numbers. Your education means much, much more. School glory and team spirit are wonderful foundations that we have been building upon, but the values we endow and the knowledge you accumulate are for a higher purpose that you alone can discover. In 2 days' time, we will be celebrating the 70th anniversary of Japan's surrender in World War II. It may seem like just another holiday. It might seem too far back in history to be relevant. But the heroic, tragic stories of those times reflect some greater values that may have become lost in time. Your impression of World War II may be limited to a few pages on your latest history textbook. But the most destructive conflict in the 20th century was intertwined with the history of DBS. We were forever changed by the experience, and many of our brightest students lost their lives for a greater cause. Outside the school hall, our war memorial plaque stands front and center. Having been there since the war, it includes the name of all those who sacrificed themselves in the conflict, students and staff who paid the ultimate price for something their education never prepared them for. They may just be names now, but each of them had a touching story to tell. On top of the memorial plaque is the name Donald Anderson, a 29-year-old DBS old boy who played cricket at school and studied law and then returned to become a magistrate. He joined the armed forces during the war and died in 1941 in a battle defending the city. On the other column of the plaque carries the name James Macaulay. Once a football and swim team captain, he flew bombing missions over Belgium to cut off Hitler's supply line. He flew over 30 missions and was shot down and buried in Europe. During the war, most of our school personnel, including former headmaster, Mr. Goodban, were imprisoned and sent to hard labor units, and our campus was turned into a military hospital for Japanese soldiers. During this time, DBS was forever changed. Along with the rest of Hong Kong, the school was crippled and undermined. In comparison to the hardship our staff and students endured in those years, our conflicts and troubles today seem almost too minute. But there are three important things to take away from this remarkable piece of history. The first is honor. All those who sacrificed their lives in the war shared one noble trait, that they considered others their first priority, not themselves. To defend their country, to shield their comrades, to protect their families, and to preserve the school. These were people who put their lives on the line for a cause they believed in. Their perspective was not individual, but collective. We are fortunate to not be placed in a warring time, but the honor these men and women in history embodied can be part of how we discover our paths. The second is that crisis offers unique opportunity. The war could have been a debilitating event that the school never recovered from. Indeed, many schools during that time closed down amid of lack of funds, the destruction of infrastructure, and the loss of teaching staff to hard labor and military service. DBS not simply survived, but grappled with this historic opportunity. When DBS reopened in 1946, we were left with just 245 students, less than a quarter of the students here today, and only 5 out of the old staff remained. Since Mr. Goodban had to recuperate in England due to his struggles during the war, an old boy, Mr. Oswald Zhang, was appointed headmaster, later Sir Oswald Zhang. Sir Oswald had not even graduated from university, and nor did he have a teaching qualification. He ran the school with simple, steely determination, despite all doubts, managing all aspects, achieving a glowing report from the Education Bureau. Imagine yourself being placed in that position, a 24-year-old, armed with nothing but an incomplete undergraduate degree, having to run a broken institution with a history you are proud of, but no resources to bring change. Sir Oswald rose to those challenges because he was granted a great opportunity in a time of crisis, and he never shied away from it. The third is perseverance. Mr. Goodban could have left the school and never returned. After the war, his health never fully recovered. He had flown back to England with his wife and by all means could have started a new life there. But he didn't. He returned in November 1946, despite advice stating otherwise, and began a period of renewal. He taught 15 classes a week, managed all administrative duties, re-established the house system, founded the Hong Kong Schools Music Festival, and sat on the Grand School Council, providing help to schools across Hong Kong. He made a great recognized difference to not just DBS, but schools everywhere. He persevered through the war and made genuine change regardless of the struggle. Honor, opportunity, and perseverance, these are important qualities. It is the reason why we grant so much freedom to you all to find what you are good at. Because when you are free, you are able to pursue these ideals, but don't waste that freedom. Use it well, and remember that whatever seems so hard today would never compare to the great challenges that the people who sat in those seats before you faced. The bigger picture is often the more worthwhile one. Let us also not forget that even today, some of our loved ones, near and far, who are confronting sickness and various challenges. Many of you have shown amazing care for our students and teachers last year, and we were just as efficient in our support for our neighbors near and far. This year, the school will witness a lot of renewal to bolster your futures. From the smallest of details, such as the refinement of school facilities, the conversion of grass turf outside this building, the early testing and securing the water quality around the campus, to the core of your learning experience, such as the introduction of smaller classes and the upcoming extensive school review conducted by the EDB, which will monitor nearly 50% of all your classes. Your experience this year may prove different from previous ones. But amidst all these changes, I want you to remember one thing. Each of you holds a responsibility on your shoulders. You represent your class, your school, your city, and even your country. You all stand for something, however young you think you are, however little the consequences may currently seem. By this, I mean as big as the international arena or even as intimate as the time in class. At your age, many may have already accomplished great things or made great sacrifices. You have been given a safe environment to make the most of your talents. Don't put that to waste. You can only be the future if you are aware of the struggles of the past and make good use of the present. Mr. Goodban's quote that we have a name in Chinese that forbids us from a common place of attainment is much repeated and has almost become cliche. But I hope you now see the historical context in which it was said. However boisterous our chants today, it would scarcely match the genuine hardship that DBS boys had to fight their way out of in those times. Our graduates from that age were given a historic responsibility, and they responded with historic contributions. Today, thankfully, Hong Kong is not at war, but it is in dire need of leadership and service. Your generation will play a powerful part. Focus on the bigger picture and make that bigger difference. For when you fight for high ideals, you will never fight alone. May God bless you all, and may God bless the Diocesan Boys School. Thank you.